What if the future of warfare isn't about who has the biggest army or the most advanced jets, but who can field the smartest, cheapest machines? That question was answered in brutal clarity when Ukrainian drones hunted down and destroyed one of Russia's prized surface-to-air missile systems, the Buk M1, a Soviet-era heavyweight valued at nearly $10 million. This wasn't just another destroyed vehicle. It was a direct attack on Russia's air defense network and a product of a much larger strategy. In fact, this strike was made possible by a massive radar gap over Crimea, which defense experts now describe as a drone corridor that Ukrainian forces are exploiting to launch deeper, deadlier attacks. On a quiet battlefield front, the Ukrainian military launched a precisely coordinated drone operation. The attackers weren't fighter jets or missiles from NATO arsenals, but small, nimble drones, some controlled in real time via first-person view goggles, others pre-programmed to hit targets with devastating efficiency. These weren't high-cost marvels of Western engineering. They were low-budget killers, some costing as little as $500. Yet, the damage they inflicted was anything but cheap. Before the Buk M1 ever became a target, Ukraine set the stage for success by systematically dismantling Russia's radar coverage in Crimea. In early July, Ukrainian forces launched precision strikes against key radar installations, including advanced Nebo-M early warning systems near Cape Tarkhanket. The destruction of these radars created what analysts now call a massive radar gap, a blind spot stretching across parts of western Crimea. According to experts, this blind zone has effectively become a drone corridor, a stretch of airspace where Ukrainian drones can enter and operate with minimal risk of early detection. For Ukraine's drone operators, this corridor is a game changer. It means UAVs can travel deeper into Russian-controlled territory, loitering for hours, conducting reconnaissance, and carrying out strikes before Russia can even respond. It also forces Russian air defenses to react late and in isolation, without the benefit of overlapping radar coverage. And that's exactly what happened in the strike against the Buk M1. The corridor gave Ukrainian drones the time and freedom to maneuver undetected until they were already too close for Russia to effectively counter. At the heart of the operation were two of Ukraine's most specialized drone units, the 13th Separate Drone Brigade, nicknamed Black Forest, and the 413th Separate Unmanned Systems Battalion, known as READ. Their mission was to take down a Russian Buk M1 system, an advanced surface-to-air missile platform originally designed to intercept aircraft, cruise missiles, and even other missiles at altitudes up to 25 kilometers. The Buk M1 was once a symbol of Soviet military engineering, an all-weather, mobile defense system capable of tracking and destroying up to 6 aerial targets at once. Each launcher could carry 4 ready-to-fire 9 M38 missiles, guided by a sophisticated radar system that scanned the skies for hostile signatures. Mounted on a tracked chassis, the Buk was built to move with frontline forces, deploy quickly, and provide a protective shield over vital assets. But what the Cold War designers never anticipated was a battlefield teeming with cheap, maneuverable drones flying just above the ground and well below radar coverage. The Ukrainian assault began with reconnaissance. Persistent surveillance flights by small drones mapped the target's location and radar behavior, identifying not just the Buk launcher itself, but also accompanying systems like the Zoopark radar, which assists in locating enemy artillery and coordinating fire. Once the Buk's radar turned on, it essentially became a glowing beacon in the electromagnetic spectrum, giving away its position with every scan. Ukrainian drone operators were ready. What followed was a calculated attack, caught on camera and distributed across open-source intelligence channels. First came the maneuvering FPV drones, zipping through the air like angry hornets, dodging obstacles and approaching the Buk from multiple angles. They flew low, fast, and unpredictably, making it almost impossible for Russian defenses to react. The Buk's traditional countermeasures, cope cages welded to the top, electronic jamming devices, and limited short-range defenses proved ineffective against the sheer persistence and coordination of the drone swarm. As the kamikaze drones crashed into the Buk launcher, followed by at least one heavier drone delivering a larger explosive payload, the Russian vehicle erupted in flames. Secondary explosions followed, indicating that at least one or more of its missiles were likely on board and ignited by the strike. Just like that, a $10 million weapon system was taken out by technology thousands of times cheaper. But this wasn't just a tactical victory. It exposed a deeper weakness in Russia's defensive infrastructure, one that Ukraine has been exploiting with increasing precision. The airspace over Crimea, a region Russia has militarized since 2014, contains a surprising vulnerability: radar gaps. Despite the heavy deployment of early warning radars and surface-to-air missile systems across the peninsula, there are still corridors, regions of low or no coverage, through which drones can slip undetected. These corridors have become what Ukrainian operators call drone highways. Through them, unmanned aerial vehicles enter Russian-controlled airspace to conduct reconnaissance, direct artillery fire, or launch direct strikes against high-value targets. The weakness lies not just in radar placement, but also in the aging technology Russia relies on. Many of the radar systems were developed decades ago, with assumptions about the threats that no longer apply. Small drones flying close to the ground, especially in clusters or at odd hours, are often missed or mistaken for clutter. This lack of consistent early detection severely limits Russia's ability to react. Once a drone is spotted, it may be only seconds away from hitting its target. That delay is the difference between neutralizing a threat and watching helplessly as millions of dollars in equipment go up in smoke. The Buk M1 is particularly vulnerable in this environment. Its strength lies in engaging fast, high-flying targets like fighter jets and cruise missiles. But drones change the game. They're small, they're slow, and they're often disposable. A single operator sitting in a hidden position kilometers away can send wave after wave of them toward Russian lines. Each drone might carry a small explosive, but together they act as a coordinated strike force. The Buk, designed in an era when drone warfare didn't exist, simply isn't equipped to defend against that kind of assault. Compare that to the Western air defense systems now arriving in Ukraine. Systems like NASAMS, IRIS-T, and manpads such as the Stinger are modular, scalable, and digitally networked. Instead of relying on a single radar for detection and guidance, they work together in a web of sensors and launchers, sharing targeting data and overlapping their engagement zones. That means a threat detected by one system can be shot down by another. They're also built with counter-drone operations in mind, using electronic warfare tools, rapid response missiles, and even anti-drone jammers to intercept threats before they reach their targets. The Buk M1, by contrast, operates as a more isolated node. It has formidable firepower and range, but lacks the networking and digital flexibility of NATO-built systems. And in modern warfare, that kind of isolation can be fatal. Once its radar is jammed or destroyed, it becomes little more than a tracked box of explosives. For Ukraine, this difference is a strategic goldmine. With fewer high-end assets than Russia, Kyiv has embraced asymmetric warfare, leveraging inexpensive but highly effective weapons to degrade and destroy much more expensive Russian systems. This is not just about winning battles. It's about shifting the balance of power through attrition and adaptation. Every time a Buk system is destroyed, it punches a hole in the Russian air defense umbrella. That, in turn, allows Ukraine's HIMARS strikes, helicopter sorties, and longer-range drone missions to penetrate deeper into occupied territory. The destruction of radars and missile systems opens the path for more strikes, which in turn degrades more Russian defenses. It's a cascading effect, one that Ukraine has been refining with every successful drone sortie. But such success is not without risk. Each Ukrainian strike that humiliates or severely damages Russian strategic assets raises the threat of retaliation. History shows that Russia often responds to high-profile losses with waves of missile and drone attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure, command posts, and civilian areas. While Ukraine's air defenses have improved significantly, especially around major cities like Kiev, Lviv, and Dnipro, coverage across the entire country remains uneven. That means that while Ukraine's offensive capabilities are evolving, its ability to withstand a sustained counterstrike remains dependent on the pace of Western support. More Patriot systems, more Iris-T batteries, and better radar integration are all essential to keeping the momentum going. Still, the message from the battlefield is unmistakable. In this new age of warfare, mobility, adaptability, and creativity matter more than brute force. Ukraine's drone operators, many of them volunteers or rapid trainees, are proving that you don't need billion-dollar programs to shape the battlefield. You just need eyes on target, good coordination, and the will to strike. The destruction of the Book M1 is more than a headline. It's a case study in the changing face of war. Where once large, expensive systems dominated, now small, smart, and cheap machines are making the difference. And for Russia, that should be a terrifying thought. So, that's what we have for today. Thanks for watching.